When we talk about calmness, many people misunderstand it as passiveness or silence. But in reality, calmness is one of the most powerful forms of inner strength a human being can cultivate. It is not the person who shouts the loudest who is strongest. It is the one who can control his voice when everything inside him is pushing him to explode. It is not the person who reacts immediately who holds authority. It is the one who takes a breath, processes the moment, and then responds with intention. Calmness is strength because it reflects mastery, and mastery always wins over chaos. A calm person is not emotionless. They simply refuse to be enslaved by their emotions. They feel anger, but anger does not control them. They feel pressure, but pressure does not distort their judgment. They feel fear, but fear does not paralyze their decision-making. And this level of control does not come from personality. It comes from discipline. It comes from training the mind to no longer operate from survival mode, but from clarity and higher purpose. You can see two individuals in the same situation, one panicking and one calm. And you will immediately notice that the calm one thinks more clearly, sees more accurately, and acts more effectively. This is why calmness is a form of strength, because it allows you to rise above the storms inside you, not just the storms around you. If you can win internally, you will always win externally. When you remain calm, you make room for intellect to function, because emotional overload shuts down rational thinking. You begin to understand people better, situations better, and even yourself better. Your calmness becomes a psychological advantage. It helps you maintain control in moments where others lose themselves. And that control is what shapes outcomes in your favor. Think about conflicts. Most of them escalate not because the issue is huge, but because emotions take over. A calm person stops escalation before it begins. Their tone, their facial expression, their deliberate pauses, all of it diffuses tension. People think carefully around calm individuals because calmness demands respect. Even in arguments, a calm person disarms aggression without needing to raise their voice. And without realizing it, the other person lowers theirs. Because in human psychology, emotional states are contagious. If you panic, others panic. If you stay calm, others get grounded. Calmness becomes a stabilizing force. And there is another layer to this strength, philosophical rather than psychological. A calm person lives with perspective. They understand that everything is temporary, the pain, the pressure, the setbacks. They know that reacting emotionally in the moment often leads to regret later. Calmness allows them to step outside the moment and observe it, rather than drown in it. And this ability to zoom out is what gives them wisdom. They don't live from impulse, they live from insight. They don't chase every noise, they respond only to what matters. And that selectiveness, that intentionality, becomes their power. Calmness also builds dignity. You carry yourself differently when your emotions do not dictate your behavior. People trust you more, they open up to you more, they seek your advice more. Because calm individuals radiate stability, and stability is rare. Everyone is affected by life's noise. Everyone is shaken by stress. But the calm person becomes an anchor in an environment where most people feel lost. They become someone others rely on. And when you are someone others rely on, you win influence without even trying. But at its core, calmness is a choice. It is the refusal to hand your power to noise, people, circumstances, or even your own impulses. It is you telling yourself, I will not let the world decide my state of mind. I choose who I am in every moment. And when you make that choice consistently, calmness becomes your default, not your effort. Calmness is not weakness. It is the quiet force that turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. So if there is one strength worth mastering in your life, let it be this: the strength to remain calm when everyone else is losing themselves. When a person learns to remain calm, something remarkable happens inside the mind. Clarity begins to emerge. And clarity is not something people usually think about in daily life. Yet it is one of the greatest advantages any human being can possess. When you are calm, your thoughts are no longer scattered. Your emotions aren't pulling you in 5 different directions. You are able to see the situation for what it truly is, not what your fear or anger is trying to convince you it is. Calmness gives you the gift of thinking without interference. Most people make poor decisions not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack internal stillness. A brilliant mind under emotional stress will make the same mistakes as an average mind under pressure. Clarity is what separates wisdom from impulse. And clarity comes only when the internal noise is reduced. You cannot think strategically when your emotions are louder than your intellect. You cannot see reality when your anxiety is fogging your perception. But the calm individual enters the same situation with a completely different lens. They are able to pause, observe, and choose their response with intention, not desperation. This is why calm people always seem to have better judgment. It's not that they know more, it's that they see more. They pick up on details others overlook. They notice patterns others are too emotionally reactive to recognize. They understand the bigger picture even while handling the moment. Their mind is not rushing, it is processing. And when you can process instead of panic, you automatically rise above the situation. Think about how many times in life people regret something they said or did in a moment of emotional intensity. Those regrets come from acting before thinking. Calmness reverses that order. Think first, act after. And this small shift, this simple reordering changes outcomes dramatically. It saves relationships. It prevents arguments from escalating. It protects your dignity. It helps you make decisions that are aligned with your values rather than your temporary emotions. It is not dramatic, but it is transformative. A calm mind also sees opportunities hidden within challenges. When you are not overwhelmed, creativity opens up. Solutions appear. Options become visible. This is why, in business, leadership, or even in social interactions, the calm person often becomes the strategist. They don't just react to life. They navigate it. They don't fight every wave, they learn how to ride it. And because of this, they move forward while others remain stuck in the same cycles of reaction and regret. There is also a deeper philosophical dimension to clarity. It teaches you patience. When you are calm, you stop expecting instant results. You begin to understand that life unfolds in stages, and every stage has meaning. You no longer rush decisions out of fear that time is running out. You realize that time is not your enemy, your own haste is. Calmness lets you approach life with a sense of balance, not urgency. And this balance creates better outcomes in every area of your life. Calmness even affects how you communicate. When your mind is clear, your words become precise. People understand you better. Your presence becomes steady rather than chaotic. You become someone others trust because clarity builds credibility. People naturally gravitate toward those who think before they speak, who process before they respond. Clarity reflects maturity. It shows that you operate from a place of strength, not insecurity. And perhaps the most fascinating aspect of mental clarity is that it gives you emotional independence. You stop being controlled by other people's moods, reactions, or comments. You think for yourself. You act from principle rather than pressure. And when you reach that state, you become unshakable from the inside. Calmness gives birth to clarity, and clarity leads to better choices, better relationships, and better outcomes. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your clarity. And if you want to elevate your clarity, train yourself to stay calm, even when everything around you is pushing you not to. A calm mind is a powerful mind, and a powerful mind is the one that always finds its way forward. One of the most defining qualities of calm people is their ability to protect their emotional energy. They understand something many people overlook, that not every situation deserves a reaction, not every comment deserves a response, and not every battle deserves their presence. Calmness is not just an internal state, it is a strategic choice about where to invest your emotional resources. When a person learns to stay calm, they automatically rise above negativity, because negativity thrives only when you feed it. Starve it, and it loses its power. You can see this in everyday life. A negative person will say something rude, and immediately someone reacts with equal or greater intensity. In that reaction, the negative person gains power. Chaos pulls you into its orbit the moment you respond emotionally. But when you remain calm, you do not enter their emotional world. You don't surrender your peace, and you don't let someone else's immaturity decide your state of mind. Calm people understand that reacting to everything around you is the fastest way to lose control over yourself. There is a deep psychological truth here. People who trigger you control you. The more reactive you are, the more power you give away. Calmness is the opposite. It is reclaiming your power by refusing to be moved by every external disturbance. When you don't react immediately, you remove the fuel that negativity depends on. You begin operating from a place of intention, not irritation, and that shift alone can transform your relationships, your work, and your emotional well-being. Calmness also acts as a filter. It allows you to separate what deserves your attention from what is simply noise. Most conflicts are noise. Most insults come from people carrying their own pain. Most provocations are reflections of someone else's instability, not your worth. When you see this clearly, you no longer feel the need to defend, argue, or prove yourself every time someone projects their negativity onto you. Calm people understand that dignity is not proven through argument. It is proven through restraint. This restraint does not make them weak. It makes them wise, because calmness gives them the ability to observe rather than absorb. When negativity comes their way, they observe it with clarity, without letting it invade their emotional space. They respond only when a response is truly needed, and their response, because it is calm, carries more weight and more respect. Calmness amplifies their influence precisely because it is so rare. Another reason calm people rise above negativity is because they do not tie their emotional state to external validation. They don't need approval to feel secure. They don't crumble when criticized. They don't break when misunderstood. Their internal foundation is strong enough that the noise outside does not disturb the peace inside. This emotional independence is one of the greatest benefits of developing calmness. It frees you from being controlled by the moods and actions of others. Philosophically, calmness creates space for compassion. You begin to realize that most people who lash out are hurting. Most people who criticize are insecure. Most people who spread negativity are battling something invisible. When you understand that, your calmness becomes not just a defense mechanism, but a form of mercy. You don't add more pain to the world. You refuse to escalate someone else's suffering. Calmness becomes your contribution to a more peaceful environment. And perhaps the most empowering aspect is this. Calmness lifts you to a higher emotional altitude. From that height, petty negativity cannot reach you. Like a plane rising above the turbulence, you discover that peace is found not by eliminating negativity, but by rising higher than it. Calmness becomes your elevation. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is essential. When you refuse to descend to the level of negativity, you do not just preserve your peace. You set a standard for others. The more you practice calmness, the more you realize that rising above is not an act of pride, it is an act of wisdom. Choose calmness, and watch how effortlessly you begin to ascend above the noise. When calmness becomes rooted in faith, it transforms from a personality trait into a spiritual strength. A calm believer is not calm because life is easy or predictable. They are calm because their heart is anchored in the certainty that nothing unfolds outside the permission of Allah. That awareness alone creates a level of internal stability that no external chaos can shake. When you truly understand that the outcomes of your life are not in the hands of people, circumstances, or random events, the need to panic slowly disappears. Instead, a quiet confidence settles inside you, a confidence that comes from knowing that Allah is in control even when you are not. This is why spiritual calmness is different from psychological calmness. Psychological calmness comes from self-regulation. Spiritual calmness comes from surrender. It is the realization that your responsibility is effort, but the result is with Allah. And once that becomes clear to you, your responses to life change. You stop catastrophizing events. You stop imagining the worst case every time something does not go your way. You stop treating every setback as a disaster. Instead, you see life as a series of divinely orchestrated moments, each carrying a lesson, a wisdom, a hidden benefit. This perspective softens the heart and quiets the mind. When a believer trusts Allah, calmness becomes natural. Think about it. How can a person who truly believes Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise, panic at every inconvenience? How can someone who believes Allah is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, fear that they are being abandoned? How can someone who believes Allah is Al-Qadir, the all-powerful, believe that any problem is bigger than his ability to solve it? Tawakkul is not a passive feeling. It is an active state of grounding the heart in certainty. The more certain you are about Allah, the calmer you become in the face of uncertainty. And this spiritual calmness does not develop overnight. It grows through reflection, through prayer, through moments where life tests your patience and you choose to trust instead of react. Every time you choose calmness over fear, you strengthen your Iman. Every time you choose patience over panic, you reinforce your connection with Allah. Over time, you realize that calmness isn't something you practice, it's something you become. This state of calmness also reshapes how you deal with people. When you know that your rizq, your honor, your success, and your future are written by Allah, the need to argue, compete, or fight for validation fades away. You no longer feel threatened by other people's progress. You no longer feel insecure when someone criticizes you. You no longer rush decisions out of fear of losing an opportunity. You operate from a place of security because your heart is secure in Allah. And this security makes you gentle, patient, forgiving, qualities that elevate you in the eyes of people and in the sight of Allah. Spiritually calm individuals have an aura that others can feel. Their presence brings ease, their words carry weight. Their demeanor inspires trust. People feel safe around them because they are grounded in something unshakable. Their calmness is not forced, it flows from the deep knowledge that Allah is with them. And when Allah is with you, what is there to fear? This kind of calmness becomes a shield during hardships. When difficulty strikes, the spiritually calm person turns inward toward Allah before turning outward toward the world. Their first instinct is dua, not despair. Their first response is patience, not panic. And because of this, they endure storms with a grace that others admire. They walk through the same fire as everyone else, but they come out with far fewer burns. Ultimately, calmness rooted in faith is a form of freedom. It frees you from the anxiety of the unknown, the pressure of controlling everything, and the fear of outcomes. It allows you to move through life with dignity, focus, and a steady heart. And when your heart is steady, your steps become steady. Trust Allah deeply. And calmness will follow naturally because a heart held by the divine never trembles at the world,